Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for joining us today at the Sushi Tech Tokyo 2024 City Leaders Program hosted by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. I'm Hina Fukuda, and I'll be your MC for today's program. To begin, we'll have greetings by the organizer of the event, the Governor of Tokyo, Ms. Koike Yuriko. Ms. Koike, please.
Honorable mayors, honorable representatives of the cities, welcome to Tokyo. I'm Koike Yuriko, Governor of Tokyo. I hope you enjoy visiting facilities in Tokyo and the startup event, and deepening connections with each other at the reception yesterday. I hope you enjoy food. And thank you very much for your participation once again. Now, issues surrounding us are becoming ever more severe, and these include the critical state of climate change, the intensification of natural disasters, and the still existing barriers against diversity. We could say that we are now standing at the crossroads of history. At this turning point, Tokyo is working to give birth to sustainable new values under the banner of Sustainable High City Tech and Sushi Tech. Sushi Tech Tokyo aims to overcome urban challenges through diverse ideas and cutting-edge technology. Under this concept, we are now holding this Sushi Tech Tokyo 2024, an event that showcases a model for future cities and generates innovation that will help resolve universal urban challenges. The City Leaders Program is a unique gathering of you leaders who are tackling challenges at the front lines of your cities. These challenges are global scale, and I call upon the world's cities to band together to confront them with a focus on the future. The GNET's Leaders Summit, held in Tokyo in February last year, had the participation of 34 cities. Since then, we have continued to promote efforts to strengthen this global network of cities, including practical approaches to solve common challenges. Now, at this second conference of city leaders, the City Leaders Program, held under the theme of a better future through innovation for a just and sustainable world. We have the participation of many more cities, 47. Once again, welcome to Tokyo. The accomplishments of our discussions here will be prepared as a communiqué, which we will announce to the world tomorrow. Tokyo is constantly taking up challenges, for example, the environment. For some 20 years, since the 1950s period known as Japan's economic miracle, Tokyo faced water pollution due to a rapid concentration of industry and population. The Tokyo government improved the water quality of rivers through efforts such as spreading the use of sewer system, and today fish are coming back. And fishes are also very tasty. And today, a major task facing cities is the transition to carbon neutrality. Playing a major role in such efforts will be the use of hydrogen energy, in particular green hydrogen, which emits no carbon from the manufacturing stage, is the trump card for decarbonization. With the aim to realize a hydrogen society, Tokyo is strategically implementing measures from the three perspectives of hydrogen: production, transportation, and utilization. Now, with regard to disaster management, we have, for example, built regulating reservoirs with a total storage capacity of 2.64 million cubic meters to store the water from rivers during the heavy rain. In order to protect the people of Tokyo from the universal threat of natural disasters, especially storms and flooding, which are becoming more intense and frequent due to climate change. We will continue to build regulating reservoirs and other such infrastructure. We will also launch a project to build underground tunnels to channel water straight to Tokyo Bay. Through such efforts, we will make Tokyo a disaster-resilient city. In addition, in 2021, Tokyo was the first city to host the Summer Paralympic for the second time. I'm sure Paris is preparing for that now, okay? And we took that opportunity to further promote the accessibility of transportation and public spaces so that even older adults and people with disabilities can move about with ease. And as the Deaflympics will also be held in Tokyo in 2025 next year, by utilizing digital technology to create an environment that makes it possible for everyone to communicate smoothly. We will build an inclusive society that has removed barriers of all kinds. As one of the largest cities in the world, with population of 14 million, Tokyo is committed to finding solutions to challenges. We will be introducing our leading initiatives for all three sub-themes of this program: safe and secure cities, inclusive and just societies, and environment, to share with you the technologies and ideas that underpin in Tokyo. As I mentioned earlier, in order to build a sustainable world, city leaders must form strong partnerships and harness diverse ideas and technologies. I believe that at the Global Startup Program you visited yesterday, you were able to meet startups full of potential to transform the world, using the ideas of startups to find solutions to urban issues, supporting these startups in soaring out into the world. We are already taking such action, and through the working groups launched at last year's GNET's Leaders Summit, we have been advancing studies on practical initiatives to solve issues. And yesterday, at the Global Startup Program, the two cities of Helsinki and Nairobi took the first step toward participating or partnering with Tokyo's startup to find solutions to issues faced by their cities. Another program, the Showcase program, which gathers technologies enabling people to experience what the future will be like in 2050, is also underway in the Bay Area. We will be taking you there tomorrow, so please looking forward to. Please experience the City of the Future showcased at Sushi Tech Tokyo 2024. And let's together change the world through strong intercity cooperation and practical approaches that also utilize startups and cutting-edge technology. To make that happen, I hope you will take this opportunity to further deepen intercity exchange. And of course, please take this time to experience and enjoy the city of Tokyo, where tradition and innovation intersect. Old meets new. I hope this time will be meaningful to us all. Thank you very much. ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much, Governor Koike. We would like to begin. Now we will have 3 keynote speeches. First, we have a video message from Mr. Ian Bremmer, President and Founder, Eurasia Group and G0 Media. So everyone, may we have your attention on the screen, please.
Hi, I'm Ian Bremmer, and I'm delighted to join you for a couple minutes at the invitation of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government to talk about the importance of city governance, civic governance, especially in a city that is as well-run, as resilient, and as oriented towards the future as Tokyo is. We're living in a world that feels so much more polarized, a G0 world, as I call it, where people don't want to take on global leadership, and yet cities are increasingly our hubs for networking with people around the world, for engaging in the world's most pressing problems and in figuring out how to solve them. Japan has, of course, been a standout for governance not falling apart, despite all of our geopolitical challenges in the world today. And there is no place that is more global, more exciting, more advanced, more oriented towards the future in that regard than Tokyo itself. It is a place that is the epitome of efficiency, of service, of resilience, and of community and spirit. And when I think about a place that I know that I'm going to enjoy myself, be incredibly productive, see people from all over the world and learn something new, aside from my home, New York City, I can't think of any place I would rather be than with you in Tokyo. Now, the fact that I'm not with you right now may belie that, but that's because I can't be every place at once. I really do come through at least a couple times a year, and I love the place. And I love it because they all want to make it work. At the end of the day, I think that Tokyo's willingness to reach out to other major cities in the world to share their experiences, not to market, not to sell, but to show off best practices, to lead by example. It is a piece of why Japan works. And it's something that we're going to need much more of as we deal with growing challenges from pandemics, growing challenges from climate change, and completely new societies that will retool themselves to deal with both the opportunities and the disruptions that come from artificial intelligence. Tokyo is leading the way on these challenges, and I'm delighted to be able to be a part of what I'm sure will be a very productive conference on these issues.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Bremmer. Next, we invite Professor Tsilitsi Marwala, the Rector of the United Nations University and the Undersecretary General of the United Nations, to deliver the next keynote speech. Professor Marwala, if you'd please.
Konnichiwa, good morning. Tokyo Governor Koiko and other distinguished guests. Today, as we discuss ways to leverage innovation to achieve a just and sustainable world, we are in fact exploring the intersection of technology and sustainable development. But technology, if it is not governed, can actually do much harm. So this morning, I am going to talk about a framework for the governance of one of the key technologies that is revolutionizing the world, which is artificial intelligence. Of course, to govern this technology, there are a number of issues that we need to worry about. We need to have values that will underpin this governance. We need to have proper human behavior. We need to have mechanisms. We need to have institutions. We need to have policies and regulations and standards and law. So what are some of these values? I think technology must actually be inclusive. It must not leave anyone behind. It must be based on good ethics. It must ensure that it advocates truth rather than falsehood. And as we have seen, AI can be used to undermine important issues such as democracy. And secondly, what are some of the areas in which we should govern? And we are actually at the right place here in Tokyo. I think we need to govern data. I think the algorithms also need to be governed. I think computing is another avenue that needs to be governed. And ultimately, how we apply this technology is actually quite important. Now, on the data, what are the key issues that we need to worry about? I think one issue is the issue of cross-border data flow. At the G7 in 2019, the then Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister Abe, proposed the DFFT, free flow data flow across borders with trust. And of course, coming from South Africa and coming here, I see how difficult it is to move medical data from one country to another. I think the issues of storage of data that respect some of those principles, such as privacy, is important. Now, on the algorithms, I think we need to make sure that these algorithms are non-discriminatory and they are used in a way that promotes the truth. On computing, I think the big issue is access to computational power. And one of the things that we have seen developing in Japan is really issues around semiconductor chips, especially the ones that have direct impact on sustainable development. Because while they are important for number crunching in computers, we do know that they use huge amounts of water and they require huge amounts of energy, something that if it's not used in a sustainable manner, we can undermine the attainment of the SDGs. And then the final area of is the area of applications. What we need to do is to maximize the good use of these technologies. And there are bad uses of these technologies. I firmly believe that the militarization of this technology must be tightly regulated, especially if it involves the non-state actors. Now, how do we ensure that this governance actually comes to the fore? I've already talked about issues of values. The second issue is human behavior. Education must be quite key to ensure that we produce people who are concerned about the good uses of this technology and who do not use this technology to undermine important values such as human rights. Secondly, we need to create incentives, we call them mechanisms, incentives that promote the good uses. But at the same time, we need to have disincentives that actually discourages bad uses of this technology. And thirdly, we need to create structures to regulate this technology. And some of these structures will be at the international level. So we are eagerly awaiting the report of the High-Level Advisory Board on AI that the UN Secretary General has actually created to see what sort of institutional structures we can be able to build at the international level, at the regional level, such as the European Union and the African Union, and also at the member states level. And how do we make sure that all these institutions are harmonized? Because if they are not harmonized, then you are not going to have free data flow across borders, for example. But we also need to have policies and regulations. And of course, here it means the people who are actually developing this technology must also be aware of policies. Then the standards is another issue. And the standards, if it is in medicine, is different from if it is in education. And finally, we need to create laws to govern this technology. These laws must ensure that we increase access to justice using this technology. We reduce inequality. We promote social protection. In conclusion, I'm going to conclude by quoting the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who said at the World Economic Forum this year, we need to develop a governance model that is networked and adaptive, that can tap the benefits of this incredible new technology while mitigating the risks. As I have demonstrated today, we have to do this through the lens of sustainable development, and I think Tokyo is the right place to do this. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause for Professor Marwala. Next, Dr. Merit E. Jano, Chair of the Board, Japan Society, Dean Emerita, Professor of Practice, International Economic Law and International Affairs, School of International and Public Affairs, Columbia University, will deliver the next keynote speech. Dr. Jano, if you please.
Good morning, Governor Koike, distinguished guests, members of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. It is indeed an honor to be with you this morning. I'm the past dean and ongoing professor at Columbia University. I've also had a career in government and work with businesses, so I will try to bring those perspectives together as we talk about a subject I think is enormously important. Next slide, please. Drawing from the Columbia University experience, I'd like to offer some comments in three areas: the role of universities and innovation, the role of innovation, cities, and startups, and looking at the opportunity for public-private partnerships between cities, companies, and universities as drivers of innovation. Next slide, please. Let's see if we can, very good. Drawing from the Columbia experience, I think higher education is actually an exciting sector in the United States today, and one undergoing significant change. And if one asks, where are the great centers of innovation in the world today, they are in cities, and usually cities that also have great universities nearby. And that's what I'm going to amplify today as universities think about their strengths and their mission. This image is the new expanded university in Columbia, which by our very title is in the city of New York. Columbia in the city of New York. So that sense of mission is fused with the origin of the university. I think universities are going through a renaissance as problem solvers and as centers of learning and engagement around society's greatest challenges, as mentioned by Governor Koike. And next slide, please. And they are expanding their research and educational programs and increasingly serving as powerful generators of solutions focusing human talent that is gathered from around the world. Next slide, please. Universities are not always fast-moving, but they are pushing forward on both the core educational mission, which I think are critically enduring functions of universities, as well as evolving functions. Let me offer a comment on the enduring elements of universities that have to be true to producing foundational learning, and that is in liberal arts, humanities, social sciences, natural sciences. But that foundational learning also has to be modified for new roles in the world today. And universities must be producing critical and original thinkers for an uncertain world. And as we think about how universities need to evolve, they have to build that foundational work with translational, newer approaches, such as algorithmic computational thinking, as foundational to education going forward. We just heard some remarks about Gen AI, and this underscores this need and development. Today at Columbia, we talk about creating bilingual humans, which means they're people who are competent in both computational matters as well as social sciences. Next, please. Another fundamental role of universities is about fundamental research and development around discovery. And this requires the deepest forms of curiosity that have to be at the heart of the research university. Next slide, please. And this means breakthrough discoveries around key societal challenges. Again, the fundamental mission of the university today also means engaging those same challenges. Next slide, please. And it also means transcending disciplines around these societal challenges, which is an ongoing conversation at universities and between universities and there are multiple stakeholders in cities and in the country. These are a few examples at Columbia, such as our Mind-Brain Behavior Institute, which brings philosophers, neuroscientists, computational scientists, electrical engineers, anthropologists, sometimes poets, all together. Or our new Data Science Institute. Next slide, please. Now, research is also set up to fund discovery. Next slide, please. And I think one of the challenges is to have translational impact, while you see the universities bringing their resources together for translational impact, and also, as you see, next slide, please, for driving entrepreneurship. So I think universities know how to do this and recognize it's important because they bring research and impact together. And universities can be unique places that do this. Next slide, please. AI is one of those areas. And I think at Columbia, we focus both on the foundational areas like machine learning, causal inference, computer vision, natural language processing, privacy, security, and AI, and applications with cities and climate and health being foundational elements of focus. But universities also have to collaborate, and in the US, increasingly with states and the federal government. In New York, around AI, New York State has created something called Empire AI, which is a collaboration between New York and multiple universities to enhance compute capability out of recognition that that really cannot only reside in technology companies. And the research landscape in the US is certainly changing significantly. Research funding agencies are expanding their focus from translation to impact. We've seen stepped up work by DoD in support of new initiatives and other ministries as well, agencies, ARPA-H around health, ARPA-E around energy. And this federal funding is now essential ongoingly, not only to basic research, but also to translational research with impact. This is, of course, part of the US history of a national science strategy premised on the triangular relationship between academia, government, and the private sector. Next, please. So if you look, this is one more Columbia example. Next slide, please. At the university innovation ecosystem, it looks something like this. And it also requires taking ideas from the lab into the world. Next, please. And this is also part of the role of the university, is to create accelerators and, of course, to work with cities. Next slide, please. Turning to innovation and the startup environment in cities, next slide, please. We are seeing that universities are the place where deep tech startups are being born. This is some data. I see it's very small here, but you can see where all some of the major universities in the United States are playing a critical role around startups. And you may be surprised to see Columbia up there. It's not as readily associated with startups, but it is the home of deep tech startups. Next, please. These are two different images of the metrics which we all track to see how much startups are coming out of the university context. And next, please. You could say, why do we care? Well, we care because it supports the aspiration of our students and faculty, it creates quality jobs, it supports economic development, and it's essential to catalyze private capital as well as support from the federal government and from cities. Next, please. And this trend is continuing. Startups per year coming out of universities are very much on the rise. Next, please. And this is the deep tech startups coming out of Columbia, which you, again, you see that the relationship between startups and the university and our cities is a very deep and ongoing conversation, but it's not automatic. Next, please. These are a few more examples. The one, next, please. And so the question is how can the university help? Next, please. And we have focused a lot on what are the pain points and where thoughtful interventions make a difference. And these are some of the elements that are essential to drive that forward. But, you know, it's not just money, it's these other factors that need to come together. Next, please. And these are some of the challenges, you know, competitions, hackathons that we run regularly. Next, please. As well as, this is our Young Challenge Grant program that I started about 13 years ago, where we give out grants. Next, please. As well as our startup lab, which we work with New York City to create. So I'm very excited to see Tokyo's initiatives in this area. And as you know, those who've been involved with startups, you're not just backing projects, you're backing people, and that's really essential. Next, please. Now, here is something that tells you what are the top cities for venture capital and also by implication for startups. And I'm very pleased that Tokyo is very much in this chart as well. Next, please. Here's another vision of what's happening in the world around venture capital. Next, please. And now I'd like to just make one or two comments about what's happening in collaborations between cities and private sector and universities. I've already mentioned Empire AI, which was a recognition by New York State that New York had to work with universities to fill the gaps because computational capabilities were not being solved on their own. It required too much money. It requires real collaboration. But there's also great collaborations happening between companies and universities and cities. I happen to sit on the board of MasterCard, so I wanted to share a couple of examples there because you see technology companies collaborating with governments to support digitization of public sector infrastructure and support inclusive and efficient economic development. Next, please. Here is, again, a picture of what Columbia prioritizes. Next, please. And if you take, oops, it doesn't seem to have any more of the next after that, please, if you have those slides. Well, no matter. There are other pages here where I was showing a couple of examples from MasterCard of tourism, an innovation hub that drives sustainable and inclusive recovery and growth through leveraging data insights for tourism. There are other examples around procurement processes where, again, the private sector can work with local cities and governments for data insights, for removing, working with the right partners, frictions in the system, for working with small and medium-sized enterprises, for helping develop digital talent, and particularly cyber talent, something that I think Japan both needs and has the capabilities to develop. And my last chart, which you won't see, which is a mapping of what I think Tokyo has, I think Tokyo has all of the essential elements to be that vibrant, sustainable technology system and ecosystem in the world today. It has great research universities. It has a dynamic city that attracts talent from around the world, and increasingly so in our changing world today. It has great global companies with access to capital and technology. And I think there's an increasing recognition in Japan about the importance of risk capital. And despite challenging demographics, a young population in Japan that is increasingly oriented towards more individualistic endeavors and an interest in attracting innovation to Tokyo. So the challenge for all of us, I think, is in bringing these elements together. But the opportunities are here, the capabilities are here, and so I'm expecting that this initiative will indeed be part of that catalyst for the future. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Jano. This concludes our keynote presentation. Now let's continue with the City Leaders Program. We have received a video message from Bologna City. Here's a message from Mr. Matteo Lapore, Mayor of Bologna.
Good morning, I'm Matteo Lepore, Mayor of Bologna, and I'm honored to address you today at this important event. To create our future is crucial to consider social and economic and ecological factors. We must ensure an inclusive and just transition covering aspects such as unemployment, housing, education, mobility, health, civil rights, digitalization, and ecological transition. No city can achieve such ambitious goals alone. However, when the cities unite, forming networks with shared objectives and values, they can collectively influence international dynamics. In our case, Bologna and other Italian cities are committed to the climate neutrality by 2030. These cities maintain constant communication and working together toward common goals. This success and this collaboration among cities require active engagement for our community. Change must be behavioral, not merely imposed from above to be effective. This is why Bologna is working with 24 local partners and 70 supporters, including business, institutions, and associations, for a common plan of 11 billion to combat the climate crisis. I want to emphasize that smart and innovative technologies are crucial support in this transition, but only if used to promote sustainability and avoid widening the digital divide, because no one must be left behind. Our administration is working on creating a digital twin to support the decision-making process for the development of policies in our city. What we aim for is not just a digital twin for technical experts, but one that is usable to the entire municipal administration, business, and citizens. Through innovative tools, we aim to co-create a sustainable city model that represents everyone. Together, let us embrace innovation as a means to build a future when every voice is heard, every need is met, and every individual thrives. Thank you for your attention.
That was Mr. Matteo Lapore. Thank you very much.